So you're probably all doing your continuous integration, right? You make a change to your code, you run the tests, and you deploy it to production or merge it back into your main branch. So you've probably got like 100% code coverage on your unit tests, and then maybe you've got some functional tests, and you've got some maybe integration tests, and probably some of those tests where the browser kind of clicks around your UI to make sure that's all working properly. But what do you do if there's some kind of regression in your sort of CSS or your HTML? How do you make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen? What you want is some kind of automated way to test that your site still looks okay. So how do you do that? What you could ask is, does it still look right? If you wanted something to automatically check, but I don't think probably computers are very good at judging that. So probably what you could do is ask, does it still look the same as it used to when you're deploying a new version? So you need some kind of tool that could let you do that, and that's what this guy does, Wraith. So how do you set it up? What you need, as with everything, to set it up is you need a YAML file. Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to tell it two different domains. We've got our new test version of our site, and we've got our current production version of the site. And then we've listed a few different paths that we want to check, and also a few different screen sizes. So what it's going to do is it's going to go through these different pages on the site at these different screen sizes, and it's going to compare what it looks like on the new version and the old version, and see if anything's changed. So how do you run it? The easiest way is with Docker. So basically, you run that command, it'll download the container for you, BBC Wraith, and it's going to call the function capture, and we're going to tell it the configuration file that we just created. Also, what you can do is actually install it, which means you need Ruby and the Wraith gem and ImageMagick, and whichever browser you actually want to use, which in our case was Phantom.js. So I've only used Docker to do it, which was obviously a lot simpler. And what it will do is give you something like this. So we've got our live version, and we've got our test version, and we've got a image diff that tells you. There we go. So these are all our different pages that we told it to look at, and you can see there's the two different screen sizes that it's doing it at. And then we can go in and look at the actual diff file. What we can see in this case is that quite obviously our database on the test site is way out of sync with the database on the live site, so all our content is totally different, including some kind of menu item that seems to have gone missing on one of the sites. But probably actually any of our CSS, the kind of things we would expect to stay the same, are still the same. So possibly the first thing how do I go back? Cool, yeah, so probably the first thing you might want to sort out is making sure that if you've got a content-heavy site, that your content is in sync across your two sites, because otherwise it will make it a bit difficult for you to do that kind of testing. One notable thing might be here that what we've done is tested our shopping bag page, and what it's given us is just an empty shopping bag. And we've also tested our checkout page, and it's also just given us an empty shopping bag, because when you go to the shopping bag with nothing in your basket, it just redirects you back to the shopping bag, which isn't super useful. Yeah, so what we can do is, before we capture the page, we could write a script to actually control the browser before it does the capture. So in this case, we're going to write a script that adds a product to the basket. So we can still test our empty shopping bag, because that's a valid test, but we're also going to add a product to the basket and go to our shopping bag page, or we're going to add a product to our basket and we go to our checkout page. And the script would look something like this. This is just an example that they provide, so it gives you, this is where it makes a difference as to which browser you chose in your configuration file, because here we're going to actually be interacting with the browser rather than sort of anything Wraith specific. So in this case, it's Phantom.js, and so this is kind of calling the actual API on Phantom.js. So in this case, we're adding a custom header, and we're setting a cookie, and then we're kind of carrying on with what stuff Wraith is going to do. And this is another example. What you could do is run a script for every page capture. So in this case, we're adding a header that makes it think that it's a mobile device. So when it goes through all the tests, it'll view it as though it was a mobile device, because it's a separate mobile site rather than just a smaller screen. So that would give us something like that. All the results now are on the mobile site. So what's it good for? Telling you if anything's changed. What it's not so good for is knowing if anything should have changed. So in that sense, it's kind of, I guess, a manual step in your releasing, because if nothing's changed, that's possibly good as long as you're expecting nothing to have changed. And if something has changed, you probably need someone to look at it and decide if that change is acceptable or not. And that's it. Anyone got a question? Yes.
Do you run it against a production site in your testing environment? Is it possible to run it against, run against a test environment, save all the images to a Git repository or something, and then a few hours later run it again and compare?
Yeah, there's a few different modes. So there's like a history mode. I was just using the normal capture mode where it compares two different sites. There's also a history mode where you run it the first time and it saves down all the current images. Then the next time you run it, it compares it against the last time. Yeah. There's also a spider mode where instead of putting in all your paths, you can just get it to crawl your site and it will make a list of all your paths for you, so you don't have to manually do that.
Can you apply like masks to areas of the screen? So if like a bit was the date, you just say I don't care about image differences at that.
I think you can do it the other way around, where you can only check a specific bit of the page. I'm not sure if you can ignore a bit of the page. That's the only thing.
Does it just tell you something has changed, or does it give you an analysis of where the changes have been? You have to, like I saw in that overlay, you could say that something's moved, but it's telling you about the color or size.
Yeah, so it's obviously telling you that the image has changed there and the text has changed there. So you've got the two different images that it took there, and you've got the actual link to the page that it took the picture from. So you can go into the image and see what it looked like. So if you want to look at the two different pictures, you can see them there, or that's the actual diff.
But that's all the feedback you get is the image on the right. That's the full report.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what it also does is you can organise them by which one's changed the most. So in this case, it was this category page 2 with 25% and 22%, and you can also get it to only show ones that have changed. So if you just get an empty report if nothing had changed.
If there's any responsive elements, for example, a menu which might pop down like here, and that might obviously change slightly. Can you check that?
Yeah. So what you can with the scripts, what you can do is get it to basically do anything that you would do in the browser before you do the page. So you could get it to do something like type into a search box and then submit the search form and see what the search results were, or something like that. Or obviously we were doing the add to bag, so it was like clicking through the site, actually adding something to the bag. So you can basically get it to do anything that you could do in a browser just by controlling the browser before it takes the picture.
Did you hover?
I guess you could. I don't know about that.
Does it do like nested menus when you hover, like you to the right to open the next network, so you can record like a mouse trail?
I don't know. That's kind of what you were asking, I guess. If you can kind of specifically control where the cursor is, that's something I don't know, and it would be specific to the actual browser you chose. It supports Phantom.js or Casper.
I think it might depend on the resolution as well, because it will change each resolution you do it at. So you could say I want cursor position, different resolution that wouldn't apply.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine you could get. Don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm not going to answer it. Anyone else?
Just showing the sort of top section of the viewport in those. Do you get full pages?
You can control the. I think by default it goes to like 1,500 pixels, so that's why you got super long images there. But you can put in the width as well, the height as well as the width when you specify.